Morning temperature. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुविज्ञेश्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आविश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, canto 10, chapter 54, and we are verse number 48. So we are reading the instructions of Sri Balramji, who is speaking to Rukmani, also hinting at Krishna. and primarily for consoling Rukmani, because his brother Rukmi was disfigured by Sri Krishna and she felt morose. So he is trying to give her some tattva gyan, that how life is not what we think, and all these relations are not what we think. So better to be situated in truth than in some sort of imagination. So he says, Yatha Shayane Atmanam Vishyan Phalamevacha Anubhunkte Pya Shatyarthe Tatha Apnoti Abudho Bhavam. So just like a person who is dreaming, so then in the dream what he does is Atmanam Vishyan Phalamevacha Anubhunkte. So he experiences various types of objects, fruits, himself, although these things don't really exist. Apya Satyarthe and Tathapnoti Budhobham. So similarly, here in the material world, people are implicated in material objects, and because of that, they get the samsara. So they experience the material world thinking it is mine or I am enjoying it, but truth is different. So he thinks that he is enjoying material objects, but as he said earlier, that Atma does not come in contact with anything. So where is the bhoga, where is the experience of it, where is the enjoyment in it? So in Sankhya Sutra, there is a sutra which says Chedavasane bhoga. So bhoga is just a sort of knowledge. When you taste something, so where is the taste? On the tongue. And you are sitting much distant from that. Beyond the senses are the mind, beyond the mind is the intelligence, beyond the intelligence is chitta, then ahankara. Then comes Atma. So much far away. And he does not come in contact with it anyway. Even mind is not coming in contact with the chocolate. It's only the tongue which contacts, right? So it's only some waves, some vibrations which generate some current, and then it's just like some small electric currents flowing in the body, which we think. That's why now they can give you that experience by touching some part of the brain, passing some electric current. So it is only this, that's all is bhoga. If you try to think of it, it's only some sort of awareness. And then you identify with that and you think, I am enjoying, I am tasting it. And it looks so real. Same just when you are dreaming, then you don't know this is a dream. It's only when you come out of the dream, then you realize that actually this was just a dream. But when you are part of the dream, everything looks so real. You feel happy, you feel distracted, you also fear. Sometimes a tiger is chasing you in the dream, or you see a snake. So all these things happen in the dreams. But when you wake up, then nothing. So like that, these things also we experience, and we think we are the enjoyer and these things are the enjoyed. But there is nothing like that. That is the Tattva Gyan from Sri Balram. So evam asango hi ayam purusha iti sruter atmano vastuto dehalepo bhave api atarka shaktya vidya eva deha sambandha mananat samsara iti sadrishtantamah. So Shruti says that asango hi ayam purusha. That purusha, both Jivatma, Paramatma. So they both are asanga. Means they don't have any contact with anything material. But then why it looks like that we have? So he says in reality there is no contact with the body also, deha lepa abhava. But because of the avidya, so atarkya shaktiya avidya eva deha sambandham annat. So this avidya, ignorance, maya is so inconceivable that it makes us believe this. And such a strong belief that we don't want to think otherwise. So, Seyam Bhagavato Maya Yadnayena Viruddhyate Ishwarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam Utbandhanam. So Maitreya Rishi is teaching to Vidura that this is Maya of Bhagavan, Mama Maya Duratya. And as he says here, is it Atarkya? So there also it is said Yadnayena Viruddhyate, that it goes beyond logic. Naya means Nyaya, logic. And that is Ishwarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam, that Jiva is actually Ishvara. Ishvara in the sense that it's actually beyond the body. Body runs because of the Jiva, but then he becomes implicated in it. And it is not bound by anything, but it feels bound. Baddha Mukta iti Vyakhya Gunatamena Vastutvat Gunasya Maya Mulatvat Name Moksha na Bandhanam. So this is all the play of the gunas. There is no moksha, there is no bandhan, but everything looks now real as bound. So that is the atarkya shakti of avidya. And it's only from Shastra that we can know it, otherwise no one can even know this, that such a thing is happening to us. So Balramji is speaking about this here. Sadrishtantamaha. So he is explaining this with an example, because examples are good to understand things which are not comprehensible otherwise. So asati arthe kasminchidapi vastuni vartmane api shayanah atmanam चतुरंग सेनायुक्तम विषयान जेतव्य देशान फलम तज्जयान श्रक्चंदन वनितादि भोग सुखम कदाचित अजायत स्वबंधन ताड़न तिरस्करादिकम च अनुभूते अनुभवति. So he says that asati arthe. So kasminchidapi vastuni, I think it should be avartmane, that none of these things are actually existing when we are in the dream. That is our experience, that at least we know. So this sleep is a very good teacher. Therefore in the Upanishads, in Bhagavatam, many places the description of the sleep comes. Deep sleep, dream, they are always utilized to make us awake. Because there are two types of dreams. One is when you dream while you are sleeping, other is the dream when you are awake. So to get you out of your wakeful dream, the Shastra speaks. So he says that none of the objects are existing in the dream, but it looks like that it is there. So Atmanam Chaturang Sena Yuktam. So he is giving a commentary because he's talking about the kings. So the person is thinking that I have 4 types of army with you. In the dream, if you can dream, I have army, I am the king. Some people also think when they are awake. Some people think like that they are some avatar, some Bhagavan, some God. Wakeful, you can think like this in your dream. So I have this army of elephants, horses, chariots, infantry, and Vishyan and their objects, their countries, which I must conquer over. And Phalam Tajjayan, and then he conquers and enjoys the fruit. What is the fruit? Fruit, olden time, Shrak Chandan Vanitadi Bhogs. Now you will say so many other things, that you have your Ferrari, you have this, you have that. So here is only saying garland, sandalwood, because it's hot area, and Vanita women, that's all. There is nothing. Everywhere you read Shrakchandan Vanita, that's all. Nothing more. Standard phrase. Everybody seems to copying it. So this is the bhog sukha, this is the enjoyment here in the material world. Anyway, now you have perfumes and nice dress, fancy cars, food items, all that. So kadachit ajayat, and then sometimes this is when you win. What if you lose in your dream? Then swabandhana tadana, then you are bound by the victorious king. He beats you up, he kicks you and disrespects you. Tirascaradikam chanubhute. So then you experience the opposite side. Because we have both types of experiences in the dream. Some dreams happy dreams, some dreams are nightmare. So tathaiva abudho aviveki bhavam asati api deha sambandhottam sukhdukatmakam samsaram. So same thing he says is happening to a person in the wakeful state. That he is aviveki, he cannot understand this distinction between body and the self, and therefore he undergoes bhavam, the samsara. That although there is no relationship with the body, there is no relationship with the body, where is the relationship with other people who are not even touching your body? It's all in the head. So deya sambandhotham sukhdukatmakam samsaram. So then this happiness, distress which come because of the contact with the body, or imagining that I have contact with the body, I am the body, my body. So this is what happens. Yatha cha uktam, as it is said, and this is the sloka which comes in Bhagavatam, I think 5 times. Only one sloka, there is no other sloka. There are some slokas which come twice, but 5 times this sloka. Athai arthaihi avidyamanepi samsritirna nivartate dhyayato vishyanasya swapne anarthagamo yatha. So this whole thing is summarized in this one sloka. It says arthaihi avidyamane api. So artha means objects. Avidyaman means non-existent, that they don't exist. But samsritirna nivartate. But the birth and death does not come to an end. Why? Because although these objects don't exist, but we make them exist and we become absorbed in them. So dhyayato vishyan asya. Why the samsara does not come to end? Because we meditate on these vishayas which really do not exist as they appear to be. It's not that they are just all mithya, but they are not the object of our enjoyment. So swapne anarthagamo yatha. And he gives example, just as in the dream that you get anarthagamo. Some undesirable things happen in the dream, but truly speaking there is nothing like that. So now this is the last sloka. He concludes, Tasmad ajnanajam shokam atma shosha vimohanam tattva jnanena nirhritya svastha bhava shuchi smite. So he says that, oh one with the beautiful smile, therefore you should give up this grief and distress which is bewildering you by this knowledge of truth. knowing the truth, give up the shoka, this grief and distress, fear and anxiety, because it's all coming out of avidya, ignorance. Once you become situated in Tattva Gyan, then all this disappears. And swastha bhava suchisma. Become situated in your own true self and not in this dream state. So that is his final word. So Tattva Gyan is used here. The word Tattva Gyan is important because only by Tattva Gyan you can become free from the grief. Of course, these days you can take some pill also, but it has only temporary effect. If you want a permanent solution, then you have to take the dose of the Tattva Gyan. Yasmadevam tasmat swastha svabhavastha bhava. So since this is how the reality is, therefore, please become situated in your true nature. He shuchismite mukhasya svabhav ki prafultam prakashe. So please smile and don't look sad and unhappy. So natvam prakriti samsariki vadhuriti bhava. Because you are not some material bride. You are Lakshmi, so it does not behoove you to be sad like this. Shri Shuka uvacha Evam Bhagavata Tanvi Ramena Pratibodhita Vaimanasya Parityajya Mano Buddhya Samadadhe. So in this way, that Tanvi, which is Bhagavata, Pratibodhita, so by Bhagavan Balram, she was instructed, and Vaimanasyam Parityajya Mano Buddhya Samadhate. So she gave her ill feelings. Her mind was disturbed. Vaimanasya was there. So she gave up that. The immediate effect of knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram ihe vidyate. So mano buddhya samadadhe. So with her higher faculty of discrimination, she became peaceful in her mind. Buddhya. Buddhya yuktaya partha karma bandham prahashyasi. So therefore it says buddhya samadadhe mana. So mind, problems, all problems in the mind. If you can keep your mind sane, no problems anywhere. Loka mam kim vadishyanti ti vaimanasyam chintam samadadhe samahita karot. So what she was thinking earlier, because this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation has been, her anxiety was, what will people speak about me, that she got her brother killed. So it says this anxiety, she sorted it out. Samadadhe. Samadadhe, samahit karot means it was solved. Solution was found. So no more trouble, no more problem. Prana avshesha utsrishto dvidbhirhat bala prabha smaran virupa karnam vitatat manoratha. Now he talks about Rukmi. Rukmi did not get the Tattva Gyan, although he was also hearing. All this lecture was also heard by Rukmi, but nothing entered into his heart, because you also have to have some Shraddha to understand. So he did not get anything. So therefore he is described here that prana avshesha utsrishto. So he was released from the bond. He was tied and only his breath was still moving. He was not dead, but almost like dead. Dvidbhir hata balaprabha, because the enemy has subdued his strength, his prowess, his everything. And while remembering that how he has been disfigured, he became completely hopeless. Vitatha Atma Manoratha. Because he came with a big hope, right? That he will defeat Krishna and he will release Rukmani from him and come back to Kundanpur. That's what he was thinking. So now all that was crushed. There was absolutely no trace of any hope left now, because now even Balram was there. So, and even his sister turned back to him. So he became completely Vitatha Atma Manoratha. And now he is only thinking his own situation. You can imagine he was the eldest, he was the prince, he would be the next king, and he was quite influential because he influenced his father also and his younger brothers. But now he is in this situation like 90% dead, 10% alive, like a beaten snake. So snake you beat, you don't kill, it's just lying there. Snakes can lie down for a long time. As long as they get some air, they can survive. So, Dvidbhir iti anena Krishna Parshavatah Tatah Padbhyam Chalan Yadu Sennairapi Tiraskar Bharsan Tadanadibhi Sa Vidambita iti Buddhyate. So, Dvidbhi here means from the side of Krishna, because Dvidbhi means by the enemies. So it's not only Krishna, it's in plural. So it's not Dusha. So he says that what it means is that he was insulted by the enemies, means that now when he is walking back, all the army people are also making fun of him. They're clapping, they're pointing fingers at him. Right? So this is what it was. So he has to pass through big army. He is a big prince, but now he is passing and all the soldiers, because enemies, they take big pleasure, especially Kshatriyas, because they are very egoistic. So they are not gentle in that sense. So therefore he says Krishna Parasvata, means Dvidbhir means not only Krishna but side of Krishna people, except for Balram, who was trying to be compassionate on him. So while he was going by walk, because all his chariot, everything was demolished, so he is walking back. Yadu Sanyairapi Tiraskar Bharsana Tadanadivi. So even the army of Yadavas was insulting him, not only physically but also verbally, both. Then maybe they are throwing something at him and saying, look at this fellow. He came to defeat us Yadavas. He does not know who are we. Victorious people. So Tadanadivi, some people even kicked him. So he is now going. Sa vidambita iti buddhyate. So faced a lot of insult while walking back. That must have been the most terrible time for him. Chakre bhojakatam nama nivasaya mahatpuram ahatva durmatim krishnam apratyuhya yaviyasim kundinam na pravekshami ityuktva tatra vashadrusa. So remember when he came, he said that I will not enter Kundinpur without killing Krishna and without bringing Rukmani back. So now he cannot enter. So therefore what he did, that he made a new town called Bhojakata outside Kundinpur somewhere, for his own residence. So Chakre Bhojakatam Nama Nivashaya Mahatpuram, big city he established, and he lived there, but lived there in a very angry mood. And why is that? He says, Ahatva Durmatim Krishnam Apratuhiya Yaviyashim Kundinam Na Pravekshami, because he said that without killing the enemy Krishna and bringing my younger sister, I will not enter Kundinpur. So therefore he stayed there. He's keeping his word, truthful. So he is giving a meaning to the word Bhojakata. So there are various meanings to it. He gives one of them. He says, Dukham bhukte iti bhojo rukmi tasya kataha shaptot yatra. So Bhojakata is made from two words, Bhoja and Kata. So Bhoja means bhukta iti bhoja, one who experiences. And Kata means vow. He has taken a vow not to enter. So now because of that, he has to experience, live here. So that's why this place is called Bhojakata. So Kate Kalinge Shapte Gazdande Katavapi Tinanartha. Because the word Kata has got many meanings. There is a country called Kalinga. Kata also means vow. Kata also means Gazdanda, side of elephant. And Kata also means mat. Katam Karoti, Katakara. Tatra Swa Virupani Karana Pradeshe. So the very place where he has to experience his own insult means he did not walk very far away from there. Maybe he did not even walk from there. Maybe a little bit an army is going anyway, he is standing there. So that's where he made his new kingdom. Bhagavan, so now he describes what happened in Dwaraka. Bhagavan Bhishmak Sutam Evam Nirjitya Bhumipan Puramaniya Vidhivad Upayeme Kurudvaha. So Sukadeva Goswami is describing that, O King Parikshit, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, defeating all the kings and bringing the daughter of Bhishmak Sutta to his city Dwarka, he performed a marriage ceremony according to the Vedic tradition. So big festival happened, marriage festival, marriage of Krishna. This is his first marriage. And then more marriages are coming. So we'll see a lot of marriages. Tada mahotsavo nrinam yadupuriyam grihe grihe abhudanya bhavanam krishna yadupato nripa. So he says that, O king, at that time there was a very big festival which was celebrated in the city of Yadavas. In every house there was a festival. Why? Ananya bhavanam, because they were all devotees of Krishna. So they became so happy that Sri Krishna was getting married. So Ananya Ekant Bhavas Tadvan. Ananya Bhav means that they had their devotion only to Krishna and not to anyone else. So a little bit describing marriage. First thing is dressing nicely. If you go to a marriage party, you have to dress properly. So Naro Nariyascha Mudita Pramishta Manikundalaha Pari Barham Upajahur Varyos Chitra Vasasoho. So the ladies and gentlemen, all of them who were very excited for Krishna's marriage, and they were all dressed up, especially the earrings, Pramushta Manikundala. So they all brought golden ornaments, gifts, cloths to the newlywed. It's a custom when person get married, you give gifts. Now also it's a custom. So Chitra Vasaso, various types of wonderful dresses, and Paribarha means golden objects, ornaments, etc. were brought to him. And Sravishni Puri Uttam Bhita Indra Ketu Bhir Vichitra Malyambara Ratna Toranaihi Babhav Prati Dwari Upaklipta Mangalai Rapurna Kumbha Guru Dhupa Deepakai. So he is describing how the city of Dwarka was decorated like a bride. The city itself was decorated just like a bride. So Sa Vrishni Puri, Vrishni Puri means the city of the Vrishnis, Uttam Bhita Indra Ketu. So there were high, big flag which was established, and Vichitra Malyambara Ratna Torani, various types of flower garlands of multicolored ornaments, Torana, all these festoons, flags. So all these things were put around, and Pratidwari Upklipta Mangalai, and at the entrance of the houses, every house had some auspicious things put there. Apurna Kumbha Aguru Dhupa Deepaka. So they put Mangal Ghata, so this water pot with coconut on top, mango leaves, that's considered as auspicious. And Aguru Dhup Deepa, put a lamp, incense. So all these things were put at the entrance of their houses, decorating everything. Uttam Bhitairati Uchchai. Uttam Bhita means high, very high, Stambhai, flags. And Unnamatair Indra Ketu Bhir, Indra Purasparshi Pataka Yuktai. So various flags at a very high, on the poles which were very high, they would put them. And Shikta Marga Madchudbhir Ahuta Preshta Bhubhujam Gajad Dvasu Paramrishta Rambha Poga Shobhita. And the paths, they were all sprinkled with various fragrant types of waters, perfumes, but more than that, also by the liquor which oozes from the temples of the elephants, because all the great kings were invited there to attend the marriage. Pandavas came, Bhishma, Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, people from Braj, and many other people. They all came to attend the marriage, and they all came big elephants. So their liquid from the temples, which is also very fragrant, it was falling on the street. That's what it says. Madachyuda bhirahuta preshta bhuvajam gajair dvashu paramrishta rambhapuga sobhita. And then there were various nice of plants which had been put here and there, especially banana plants. Rambha means banana, puga is this supari. These are also considered as auspicious. So that's how the city was decorated. So Majjud Bhir Ahut Preshta Bhujam Gajair Dvarshu Paramrishta Rambha Poga Shobhita. So he's just explaining all these elephants belong to the kings who were invited to take part in this. Kuru Srinja Kakeya Vidarbha Yadukuntayaha Mitho Mumudare Tasmin Sambhramat Paridhavatam. So the kings from the Kuru dynasty, Srinja, Kakeya, Vidarbha, Yadus, Kuntaya, they came all running happily. They were having fun with each other because they were all devoted to Krishna. So they all came. So Jiva Goswami, Vishnu Chakravarti doesn't say anything. He says Bhishma came, Dhritarashtra, all the Pandavas, Drupada also came, Kekai, Santaranadya, Vidarbha, Kanya Snehat. He says also Rukmi, Rukmani's father came. Baldev, Balram asked for him to come. So he also came. And Bhishma Krathaka Shikadaya Yadva Ugrasenadaya and Ugrasena etc. they were all there. But according to Padma Purana, Nanda Maharaj also came. And Yashoda also. Because his son is getting married. So he also came. And all the cowherd boys came. Their friend was getting married. So they will get some laddu, madhumangal. Eagerly will eat big feast. And Rukmanya haranam shutva giyamanam tatastataha rajano rajakanyascha babhur bhrisha vismita. So hearing the story of Rukmani's kidnapping and then Krishna's marriage, here and there the kings and the princesses, they were all singing and they were all very astonished by this whole thing. So there is also a play called Rukmani Haranam, famous play. Many poetry have been written on this, Krishna's kidnapping of Rukmani. Rajano Dwarkayam Abhud Rajan Mahamodaha Puraukasam Rukmanya Ramayopetam Drishtva Krishnam Shrihapatim. So he says that, O king, there was a very big celebration by the residents of Dwarka, and Rukmanya Ramayopetam Drishtva Krishnam Shrihapatim. When they saw Krishna along with Rukmani, who is Lakshmi, so Lakshmi with her husband, so Lakshmi, Narayan, Rukmani, Krishna, so everybody was in ecstasy, enjoying, singing, dancing, feasting. Big festival lasted for a long time. Especially the kings came from different parts, so they all must have spent months there. So this is the end of this chapter, which described Krishna's marriage with Rukmani. Okay, Sandeep.
So, Bhagavatam is, at many places, this Satyanarayana is given. Like Akrura given to Dhritarashtra, or there Bhagwan given to Kundu. Then also it is mentioned that like even Uddhava giving to gopis. He also gave the Satyan to gopis. And some cases this Satyan is acting, and some cases it's not. Like here it is stated on Rukmini, it did not act at all, and whereas Rukmini got pacified. And even the gopis, it did not act. In a way, it did not act for them. So as a sadhaka, because many times it's coming in Bhagavatam, like the first Gyan being given. How do we make sure that it acts upon us?
Make sure? It's up to you.
It acts upon us, because we also find that sometimes we get that feeling, then again like Rukmini kind of condition, then again we back to that square one kind of thing. So what should we do that like Rukmini ji or someone else it stays permanently with us?
You have to act on it. That's the
Act like you are an Atma. So how to this? Obviously in my worldly dealings it's a little difficult to act being an Atma, but then of course you have to deal with people and normal whatever day-to-day dealings.
So you can stop being with people for some time till you digest it.
So
Yeah, you have to do something.
but we also see that even gopis also did not act. So
they did not have the need to act on it. They were already beyond that.
No, I think what I am thinking is, maybe you can just confirm it, that when there is too much of attachment, because this Tattva actually enters through the mind and then changes your ahankar, and then goes to Chitta, whatever, Chit, Vritti, Nirodha, or what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. But then I think if there is so strong attachment, whether positive or worldly, whether with Krishna or with the world, then it doesn't, I think, go beyond ahankar. Is it right?
So there is no need to get into ahankar and this and that. The main thing is he saw that buddhya, mano buddhya samadadhe. That's what was said there. That when she heard it, then she ascertained it, or she assimilated it with his buddhi, with her buddhi, buddhya. So main factor is buddhi. That when you hear, then you have to utilize your buddhi. Okay, now I am doing this activity, does it match with Tattva Gyan? If not, what will be the outcome of this? Mind is there, and mind has got its attachments. So if you are giving attention to attachment, then all this will just be washed away. So you have to remain aware. Buddhi's important function is awareness. So we don't do that. We get carried away by the mind, by the senses. So dhyayato vishyan pumsa. So we have to avoid that and pay attention to this with our awareness. So that takes some effort on our part. First you have to become convinced about it, that this is what I really want. So when you become convinced, then things change. But if we do not become convinced about it, there are two situations which sound similar. One is that I am convinced, but my senses are so strong that I still fall for them. Another is that I am not convinced. So if the situation is the first one, when I am convinced, then it is possible to get over it. It may take some time, but you can possible. But if you are not convinced, then nobody can help you. Then you have to use only first your buddhi to understand that what is being said here, is it right or is it wrong? And remove all doubts about it. Once the conviction comes that this is the right thing and this is what I want, that is the next step. First I am convinced, but still I don't want it. We are convinced about so many things, but it doesn't mean that we want it. So the next thing is that this is true and this is beneficial for me. Unless I become convinced that it is beneficial for me, I will not do it, because we think, no, this is not beneficial, but the other thing is more beneficial, the material things. So then I keep on doing them. So these are the first two things, that I am convinced, and I am convinced that this is beneficial. I am convinced this is right, and I am convinced that this is beneficial for me, which also has the corollary, it is I am convinced that other things they are not beneficial for me. Dukhodarkanscha garahen, Jusmanascha tan kaman, Dukhodarkanscha garahen. That's why Krishna advises that if a person is convinced, as Shraddhalu, then he says that even if he is engaging through the sense objects, he does not put his heart into it, but he despises them. Garahen, Garaha means to despise. Jusmanascha, although he is engaging in the sense objects, but he is not relishing it. He knows that I am just doing it because I am unable to control myself. So then he will get out of it. And that will happen if you stay aware. Otherwise what happens that when we engage in sense pleasures, we get absorbed in them. And then you are creating deeper samskara, you will never get out of it. So unless you become aware, even when you are engaged in sense pleasure, you have to maintain your awareness. Awareness of your conviction. Awareness of the conviction that this is not good for me. Then only you can get rid of it. Okay?
Thank you.
Tanmaji. Yeah.
So, going back to this 10.54, 4.48, Chakravarti Bhatt's commentary, the syntax there is that asati api vastuni. So that's a sabdami, that this person sees or enjoys, or bhumte, enjoys himself in objects that don't exist in the dream. So that was the Drishtanta. And then he's saying, Tathaiva, in the same way, Abudho Viveki Bhavam. So Bhavam he's saying is there sambandho from Sukha Dukhatmakam Samsara. So the Aviveki experiences this samsara made of happiness and distress, which arises from sambandha with the body. And he says asati api again. So what is that asati api referring to?
This objects in the samsara.
Then why are they asati?
Asati has two meanings. One is that they are temporary. Second, they are actually not enjoyable. Because what is the problem is not in the sense object. The problem is not in the Vishaya, not in the object. The problem is that we think that they are object of my enjoyment. That is the real problem. So that is asati. It's not.
So I had asked you this question before, but I just want to confirm this again. Years ago you were discussing this in the Samsundara class, that bondage and liberation, these terms are not actually factual. Gunata mena vastutaha. And that everybody is actually liberated, they're just not. We don't have any real, our sambandha with this body is not real. That means it doesn't really, it's not factual, it doesn't exist. Because we have a Sanghoya and Purusha. Is that correct or not?
Yeah,
The view that has sambandha is not real.
Yes, because if it is real, it will never be removed. Nasto vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. So na abhavo vidyate sataha. That which is sata, which is real, there is no abhava of that. And na bhava vidyate sataha.
Okay, so when we say our ignorance, avidya,
So
that is real.
avidya is real, and body is also real, and we are also real. The non-real thing is that I am the body.
Identification.
Yeah. And when you think I am the body, then that is non-real. And then comes that when once I am the body, then I am the enjoyer, that is also non-real. And these objects are objects of my enjoyment, that is non-real. That's from where the whole parampara, whole succession of non-reality comes. So therefore Shastra, instead of going into this minute thing, it says that they don't exist, which is easy to understand for people. That in the dream, nothing is there. Instead of saying, no, things are there, but they are like coming from the samskaras and mind makes them up. And just like when you see the movie on the screen in a theater, so you see people walking, talking, all kinds of action happening, but there is nothing there. You can say that, no, there is nobody, but it's not that there is nothing there. The screen is there and the light is there. But the light is giving you the illusion that there is some human being or animal or something, whatever is the scene, forest, river, mountain. It's not there. So it is asati. But you think and you relish it. If it is a good movie, we get absorbed in it, we relish, we even become emotional. Some people start crying or fearful sometimes, or it may even become angry at somebody who is doing something which you don't like. So there is nothing, but all these things are happening. Same thing happens in dream, and then same thing you can extend in our life also. It is the same. But it's because we are doing it so regularly. Movie we don't watch so regularly. Imagine if you are in the movie theater, you never come out of it. You are glued to your seat and watching the movie all the time, then to you that will become the reality, because you have never seen anything outside. But that's what is happening. The Atma is sitting in this body here watching the movie at the screen of the mind. It never comes out. I mean, in the other example, you need to eat, you need to go to bathroom, you need to sleep, but Atma is free from all that. Atma does not eat, Atma does not sleep. So Atma is just fixed there, and then he gets transfixed and thinks it is happening to me, and everything is real. So this is the meaning. Arthaiya vidyamanepi samsritir na nivartate. So sapne anarthagamo yatha. This is a fact.
Thank you.
Narayanji.
Pranam Guru Maharaj. My question is at the a few chapters. This question is coming in the context of a lecture that I had heard in the Bhakti Rasamrita. And the question is that in these last 3 chapters there is a lot of glorification of Rukmini ji, but the emphasis is really on the Sambandha. So, is it fair to say this? So, is this when you talk of Raganuga Bhakti, but the the 2 types, the Sambandhanuga and Kamanuga, is this the example of the Sambandhanuga category?
Yeah.
Okay. That was it.
Yeah, that's Sambandha.
Can I just ask one clarifying question, Prabhupada? When we say Sambandhanuga, that means that Rukmini ji has the same, because when you contrast this to 30 chapters ago, when the description with the gopis are given.
Recording stopped.
There is no description of.
Recording in progress.
There's no description of pomp or splendor or anything of that sort. It's just a natural flow. Whereas here there is a lot of the pomp, the splendor, they got married and things like that. So my question is, when somebody, when you describe the Sambandha part, we are saying that the Sambandha part is basically there. The raga is there, but the Sambandha is also kind of mixed in as an overture on top. Is that the point?
No, the meaning is this, that you see this whole exercise, whole process is to make us understand what actually love is. The problem is that we have probably the biggest confusion about love. And it's very deep inside us, so it's very difficult to get out of it. Same thing which I am saying, that we have such deep identification with our body, it's very difficult to get out of it. That's why it comes repeatedly, so that gradually it may sink in us, maybe a little bit, 5%, 10%. So love is, and when we are talking about love, means Krishna Prema. Because there is no other Prema. It's same thing, just as like there is no other enjoyment here, the real enjoyment is only in Bhakti. What is we will read here in Gopal Champu. But it's difficult for us to believe. How can you say that there is no enjoyment, there is no love, there is nothing? Because what else is enjoyment except for love? Without love, nobody even wants to live. But this is a sort of illusion of love in the material world, which is good because then you can understand what is true love. If we have experienced even material love, which people don't experience, unfortunately at present, in the material world, even this material love is not experienced. At least this is my experience or my observation. And now therefore it becomes very, very difficult to understand what is being described here. But fortunately or unfortunately, we all think that we know what is love. And we have heard this word from our very childhood, from our very birth. And we are using this word all the time. So how can now we say that we don't know it? We are using the word, we are talking about it, we are watching movies, we are reading poetry. So basically all the love that we know is not something which we have experienced, but something which we have heard from the poets or people who write novel about love. And I tell you that people who write about love, they are the people who have failed in love. Because nobody who has experienced love writes poetry about love. He has no need. Those people who are hungry, they talk about food. Person who has eaten food, he does whatever he has to do. So if you see people who write novels about love story or novels or poems about love, they will be most probably are those ones who have failure in love relations. Then the love poetry comes out. And then a common man reads these things and get an idea about love. So you read movies on love story, but you don't see this in practical life. Because this love story is written by a person who has frustrated himself or herself in love. And then they are very good at writing because they imagine something which they wanted and it never happened. And imagination has no limit. When you imagine everything perfectly. Because now there is no limitation on it. When it happens in true life, it never happens like that. Because in true life, there are a lot of conditions, problems. The other person is there who is not going to talk and walk and look and appear and do as you want. But in the story, you can make it happen. You can have a character which actually does according to the person's feelings and thoughts and desires and wishes, and a very lovely person. So this is what people imagine, but in reality it is not there. But this imagination, why this imagination is there? Because actually the reality is there. And that reality is what is described here in Bhagavatam or in Gopal Champa. So this is what everyone hankers for, and it can be experienced only here. So this Sambandhanuga and Kamanuga is to show that love does not depend on any relation. But here in the material world, we generally know of love through relations. Parents and children, they have loving relationship. Parents love their children because they are my children. They don't love any children, but their own children. So girl loves the boy because he is whatever husband or lover or somebody, not any other boy or any other girl. So this relationship is actually, like you say, it is coming through the conduit of relation. Not that relation is added onto it. Actually the prema is within that pipe of relationship only. It cannot cross the bounds of that. That's what was shown here in case of Rukmani. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, that Puri Subhruvam and Gop Subhruvam, the difference between them, he was talking about that. So the gopis' love to Krishna is not that because Krishna is their husband or Krishna is their son or Krishna is not even, actually he was not even born to Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. That's why it is shown like that. That their love, even in the parental relationship, he is not physically born to them. So it is pure love. So that is the difference between Sambandhanuga and Kamanuga.
Thank you very much, Guruman. Actually, you had made this comment in in the class, in the other Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu series. You had mentioned that when we read the Bhagavatam and toward the end of every story, we should look back and try and understand the context in which that love and that framework is defined. That is why I had asked the question, just to understand a bit more about this. Thank you.
Okay.